亲杂的神情，为此花费济一切众生，亲赞妙法人教导我们如何了生脱死离苦得乐，速证无生。Will the Sangha
with great virtue out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, present the wonderful Dharma will to teach us how to live suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth. Your sheet in front of you. Namo Sadanto Su. Oh, sorry. I think we start with Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo Sadanto Sujedoye Alahadi Samya Sambuddhoje. Together. 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in a billion eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. All Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Venerable Master, Dharma Master, and all good and wise friends, good evening. Welcome to Berkeley Buddhist Monastery and our evening sutra lecture on the Sutra of Limitless Life, on Amitabha Buddha, on the Buddhist tradition. The volume not, can you turn on the volume just a little bit in the speaking system? So today is actually September 1st, 2018. We just finished Ulaanbaatar, and in the Chinese kind of world, we're officially in the middle of Ghost Month. We had a really good conversation on Ulaanbaatar where River Hong Sher explained that the origins of Ulaanbaatar was coming from Venerable Mahamoggaliyana trying to rescue his mother who was suffering in the hells as a ghost and bring her to, you could say, freedom from that place of suffering. But then as the centuries went by, that story morphed into what the Chinese think as the Ghost Month. And then Jin-Fo talks about all the things and practices that people do in Asia during that month to not run into a ghost, to not, maybe have inauspicious things happen to you. All these things that developed from this early story about Venerable Mahamoggaliyana saving his mother. So tonight we're going to investigate another text called the Sutra of Infinite Life, the Sutra of the Buddha's teachings on infinite life, and I think it's a very fascinating text, but because you get to enter into also another world. For some of us, maybe the realm of ghosts and spirits, what we're just talking about, might not be a familiar place. Maybe we're more used to kind of the material world where we see things like a table, like some flowers, people. And that's pretty much our reality, and we don't really think about much else. And if people talk about other realms, we're a little bit doubtful, like, I don't know about that. That's that's not something I experience, so who says? Why would I believe it? And so it's a good, definitely it's a modern attitude. But at the same time, these ancient texts seem to be pointing that there's much more to reality than meets the eye. And so tonight we get a chance to investigate that together by going into the sutra. And I know Jin-Fo has prepared a lot to share with you, because we're going to talk about the Buddha's process of awakening, what he does, what all Buddhas do to wake up. And so to start though, we recite Amitabha Buddha's name to, you could say, invoke his spirit to bring his light into our assembly. You actually see an image of him behind Jin-Fo and myself. That's Amitabha Buddha. He's seen as the host of the Pure Land of Ultimate Bliss. This place is a place where there is no suffering, only happiness, and he radiates limitless light. And they say it's shining on us right now, but maybe we're not aware of it because we have too many layers of obstruction in the way. But we recite Amitabha Buddha's name, little bit by little bit we can remove those layers, and then the light of Amitabha Buddha can shine through right into our hearts. Or you could say Amitabha Buddha's light that's inside of us naturally shines out as well to shine on everyone else. So it's a really good practice to, you could say, open our hearts, open our Buddha nature to Amitabha Buddha, light and wisdom. Okay, so the phrase is very simple. It's Namo Amitofo. And you just jump right in when you get the tune. Namo Amitofo. Okay, so you should have a sutra text in front of you. If you're online, it should be on the Berkeley Monastery website. And we can turn to page 4 and 5. Page 4 and 5. For those who might not have been to our sutra lectures on the Infinite Life Sutra before, this sutra is a kind of I don't know what you call it, a pivotal text, a very, very important text in the Pure Land tradition. The Pure Land tradition is dedicated to Amitabha Buddha, who in his vows made the Pure Land. And this sutra actually tells that story. And so we're just in the very beginning of it. We just went through all those who were in attendance, and now we're about to move into a little bit more description about the Buddha. And so, or the Buddha's process of awakening. So we're going to begin on the bottom of page 4 and the bottom of page 5. We'll read the Chinese, followed by the English. If you aren't familiar with the Chinese, what you do is you look at the romanization on the bottom. Yeah, where it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from the bottom in the Chinese. And then we'll read the English that corresponds on the right page. So this is a chance, if you don't speak Chinese, it's a good chance to learn, even at least making the sounds. It's kind of fun making strange sounds if you don't know what you're saying. But maybe bit by bit, if you practice long enough, it'll maybe start making some sense. And especially if you can start matching the characters on this side with those over on this side, you can begin to pick things up. So how about we all put our palms together, and Jin-Fo will lead us in the Chinese reading.
好，我们从除左率天开始到天人归阳，就是下面算的第3行，我们就念这一段，然后念完中文再念英文，我们大家一起念。
So we'll read 4 lines in the Chinese. Jin-Fo said that we can all read it together.
好，我们开始。除斗数天，弘宣正法，舍彼天宫，降神母台，从右胁身，现行7步，光明显耀，普照十方无量佛土，6种震动，己身自称。吾当以是为无上尊，是凡奉事，天人归阳。OK， 到这里。
So now we'll read the English. It starts with such a bodhisattva. Okay. Such a bodhisattva will teach the right Dharma into Tushita Heaven, and from there he will descend into his mother's womb. Upon birth from his mother's right side, he will walk 7 steps. A brilliant radiance will shine everywhere over the infinite Buddha lands throughout the 10 directions, and the earth will quake in 6 ways. He will then proclaim, I will be the unsurpassed honor one in the world. Shakra and Brahma then draw near to serve him. Devas and humans respectfully take refuge in him. Okay, we'll stop there.
诸佛菩萨、仙公上人、法师以及各位在佛殿的善知识以及线上的善知识，大家阿弥陀佛。
阿弥陀佛。So all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Venerable Master, Dharma Master, and all good and wise friends, both in present here and also those online. Amitabha, welcome.
今天我看了一下仙公上人一个开示，有一个句子非常重要，对我们学佛的不管是在家出家，还有将来没有学佛的都非常重要。就是说只要你念阿弥陀佛，那你就是已经佛，就是佛了。就是你要念 阿弥陀佛佛号，那你就是佛了。
So there's a verse that Master Hua gave that I thought was very important, both for monastics and laity. He said that if we recite Amitabha Buddha's name, then just right then we are the Buddha.
因为他这个其实有根基的，就是我们后面会讲到阿弥陀佛48愿里面，他有一个愿，只要你称他佛号，将来就是他都会来接引你去那边成佛。所以就是说，我们不管在家出家，都是要常常念佛，就是这样的道理。这个是这个经典也是释迦牟尼佛他所讲出来的，也是阿弥陀佛他的大愿。
So Amitabha Buddha, this principle is from the sutras, you could say, because if you read this rest of the sutra, a section talks about Amitabha Buddha's vows and says that those who recite his name, he will receive to his Pure Land and they will become a Buddha. So there's encouragement, constant exhortation for us to recite the Buddha's name. This is in the sutras and in many teachings, that reciting the Buddha's names is a very important practice.
好，那大家会觉得我还没有准备好啊，我还有很多的事情要做啊，我还有我现在还生活得很好，我不想说就去那边往生去了。其实这个没关系，你现在还没有 ready 没有关系，他还是会等你的，等到你可以了，你再去。所以也许是今生，也许是来生，都是非常他都等着你。所以这个就是一个种成佛的种子，一个佛缘。
So you might think, oh, well, I'm not prepared to go yet. I want to stay here because I have lots of things to do. I have a lot of things to take care of. I don't know about going to the Pure Land quite yet. Well, it's okay. If you don't want to go just yet, that's okay. Amitabha Buddha will wait for you. Maybe you might not go this life. Maybe you'll go to the Pure Land next life. He'll wait for you. But you planted this seed, and so later it will bear fruit.
好，我们今天就是要我们现在开始讲正文，就是我们讲完了这个16正事已经讲完，然后我们上个礼拜也讲了一个就是这些菩萨，还有成佛菩萨，他就是在无量世界现成等觉。那我们上星期已经讲完，那我们今天开始讲除斗数天开始。
So last time we talked about the 16 great bodhisattvas, as well as those bodhisattvas showing equal or equivalent enlightenment to living beings. And so now we're at the section where a bodhisattva teaches the right Dharma in the Tushita Heaven.
好，这个除斗数天，这个除就是讲一个地点，一个地方啊。他除斗数天就是菩萨去的地方，就是斗数天就是斗率天，我们常常讲的斗率天。斗率天它是属于3界之内的异界6天之一。
So the first thing that stands out is the Tushita Heaven. Tushita Heaven is a place, and it's a heaven that's actually located in the desire realm. We all live in the desire realm, and so it's one of the 6 heavens in the desire realm.
那这个它是刚才我们讲，它是属于3界之内的异界天。那这个3界，我们就是知道说异界、色界跟无色界，就是说我们现在都是在异界里面。
So this is the Tushita Heavens also in the 3 realms. If people know Buddhist cosmology, I don't know if people are familiar with it. There's the realm of desire. I mean, this is a really good list. If you need to know your Buddhist ABCs or your Buddhist basics, you want to know there's the desire realm. That's where we live, in the realm of desire. How do you know it's the realm of desire? I think if you just turn on your internet and look at what people are doing, it's mostly involved with desire, buying, selling stuff. You know, I think if you just pay attention, you can see that our realm has got a lot of desire in it, a lot of greed and seeking. And so this realm is characterized by this desire. The next realm is called the form realm. And the form realm is where desire is not so strong. And they actually are constantly in this kind of, we call it the dhyanas, but in this very peaceful state of mind. This very, very peaceful state of mind. And then beyond the form, but they still have forms, they have bodies. And then beyond the form realm, there's the formless realm. So this realm is just consciousness. Even the coarse characteristics of the body are no longer apparent. It's just the formless, the consciousness without actual physical form. And so these are considered the three realms in Buddhist tradition: the desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm. And as living beings, as we practice the Tao, practice the Dharma, or just live our normal lives, we can be born in all three of those realms, depending on our karma, depending on our practice, depending on our vows. And so this heaven, however, is still in the desire realm. It's within the three realms. And all these three realms, the point of those, all these three realms are still caught in samsara, meaning that you can be born in them, and then you can die in them, you leave them. So they're not ultimate places of rest.
所以刚才讲斗率天，它是在异界6天之内。那离我们地球最近的就是4天王天，然后再上面一层就是忉利天。忉利天就是佛陀去跟他母亲说法的地藏经的地方，然后在上面一层就是夜摩天。夜摩天再上去就是斗率天，所以是在第4天，然后再上去化肉天，在第6，总共异界有6天，那第6天就是他化自在天。
So in this heaven, the Tushita Heaven is within the 6 heavens within the desire realm. So here's another list for you if you're interested in Buddhist cosmology. So we have our realm, which is the human realm, and the heaven that's the closest to us is called the heaven of the 4 celestial kings. They're like almost like rulers. They rule different parts of this world and are considered powerful kings. Then above them is a heaven called the Triamshimsha heaven, the heaven of the 33, meaning there's 33 gods there. And then they say Chakra, Lord Chakra, is actually the main ruler there in that heaven. Beyond that one, there's a heaven called the Suyama heaven. And another one up from there is the Tushita heaven, which is what we're talking about this evening, the Tushita heaven. So that's number 4. There's the 5th heaven, which is called the creation of happiness heaven, where we create our happiness. And the next one above is the happiness that is gained from others' creations. This is actually considered where Mara lives. The Buddhist tradition, we have a kind of energy that is really tries to keep people in delusion, keep people in samsara, and it's often the being who embodies that is Mara. So he lives in the 6th desire heaven up on the level.
所以像4天王天，他一天他的一天是我们人间的50年，然后忉利天是人间的100年，那夜摩天是人间的200年，他一天然后斗率天他一天是人间的400年，化肉天是人间的800年。他化自在天是人间的1600年，他一天就是一天，所以他们时间很长的。
So if you, so also in time in Buddhism is interesting. It's not, it's different different heavens. So for instance, in the heaven with the 4 celestial kings, 1 day and 1 night in this heaven is actually 50 years in human existence. So if you imagine, living 2 days in the heaven is pretty much one entire life here in the human realm. You go up at that level in the Triumshimsha heaven, 1 day and 1 night there is 100 years in the human realm. You go up another level, the Suyama heaven, 1 day is 200 years. And you can see it doubles each time pretty much. The next one, in Tushita Heaven, is 400 years. So you can imagine just living 1 day, one morning, pretty much is a person's life in our world. Gives our life perspective. Our life is like, if you see like mosquitoes or these like little bugs who maybe their lives sometimes just a few hours, I'm sure the gods probably see our lives just like that. Wow, these human beings, they just come into existence, they disappear. We haven't even finished really our breakfast yet. And so they have creation of happiness is 800 years, and the happiness created by others is 1600 years. So 1 day in that realm is 1600 years in the human realm. So 16 lifetimes if you live to be 100 years old.
好，我们像讲一个在佛陀时代有一个故事，就是忉利天。我们刚才讲，他一天是我们人间的100年。那时候有一个忉利天王，他有一个妻子就是在他们早上起来的时候就去公园里面去玩，因为像天上的人都很快乐，他们都是在外面玩，所以他们一大早的时候就去花园玩。那个里面有一个忉利天王的妻子他就忽然间就下生在人间来了。
他死了吗？
对，死了，在那里死了，然后就下生到人间来投生。
Okay. So there's a story in the Buddhist time about in the Triumshimsha heaven, heaven of the 33, and the god, Lord Chakra, had a wife in this realm. And so if you remember, 1 day and 1 night in this heaven is 100 years in the human realm. And so they went out to play. So in heaven it's really blissful. They have a lot of delightful things to do. So they go out into the garden to play and entertain themselves. They had lots of fun. But one of his wives, you could say, actually passed away in the garden and went back down to the human realm, was born in the human realm.
那这个那时候就是在守卫国的地方，他降生在守卫国的地方。那他那时候也是佛陀在，然后就降生以后，他就后来长大了，然后就16岁就跟人家结婚，然后还养了4个孩子，所以而且这个算天女下来以后，他也了解他还是一直在想。他因为还是有这个回忆，然后他是说，他是以前这个天王的忉利天王的妻子，所以他也很认真在那时候跟佛陀那边的一些佛事供养他就做佛事，所以在那边来服务这个佛的地方，所以就他变成说他也结了很多，就是得了很多的功德，但是他还是一直想要回去。
So this goddess fell from the heavens and came into the human realm, and I think Shawei-guo is Shravasti. This is one of the cities in India where the Buddha visited. And so she was born in this city, and she grew up as a young girl, 16 years old. She got married, and she actually had 4 kids. But she actually remembered her time as a goddess before, and so she kept wanting to go back to the heavens. And she lived a virtuous life. She met the Dharma and made offerings, attended Buddhist ceremonies and practices, and kind of served the Dharma and cultivated a lot of merit and virtue. But in her heart, she wanted to go back to the heavens. She had this wish, this aspiration to be reborn as a goddess.
所以就是有一天他生病了，然后生病他就又去世了，就是死了。然后他因为他一直也是有期待，他要再回去忉利天王那边去，所以他死了以后就又回去到忉利天王的身边。
So later, she actually fell sick, and the sickness was quite serious, so she actually died. And when she died, because of her goodness, she was reborn back into Tushita Heaven, back into you could say the place where the Lord Chakra was.
所以他往生了以后，他就回到那个忉利天那里边去，然后忉利天王一看到他说：“哎，刚才我们还在看到你，你是去到哪里？怎么又回来了？”他就问说：“你去到哪里去了？”那他这个天女就跟他讲说：“我去这个人间，我已经走了一趟了。”
So she came back to the garden, and Lord Chakra saw her and said, "Oh, we were wondering where you went. You disappeared, and you're back. What happened to you? Where did you go?" She said, "Well, I actually went down and lived a life in the human realm, for one whole life as a human being."
所以那时候佛陀讲这个故事，所以比丘就向佛陀报告这个天女的事情。那佛陀就是说生命就是我们人间的生命是短暂的，所以你还没有满足你的欲望的时候，死亡就已经夺走了人的生命。这个意思就是说，我们要珍惜时间，是真的我们人在这个世界上，就是来这个是非常短暂的，一下子就过了。
所以比丘跟佛陀讲这个故事吗？
他在问讲这个事情的时候，佛陀他就跟他开始，这个是在《法纪经》里面的故事。
So the bhikshus, I think, recounted what they saw to the Buddha, and the Buddha gave his teachings. He said, "Yeah, you can see that this life of ours is very short, and we constantly run after our desires, and they don't get fulfilled. But what we want to do is really cherish every moment of our life, not let it pass in vain."
在这里我们要提一下，这个就是说在我们投身去极乐世界有多长呢？因为极乐世界的一天就是我们娑婆世界的一劫的时间。
So you want to compare. So Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land, one day in Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land is how long here in the human realm? Any guesses? We didn't hear Jin-Fo Chinese. How long? How long is one day in the Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land here in the human realm? So he's heard that in the four celestial kings, one day is 50 years here in the human realm. How about the Pure Land? Any guesses? 1,000 years? 10,000 years? Jin-Fo said 1 eon. How long is an eon?
13亿年。
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 13亿年. That's what 13, almost like what? E is 10,000? 100,000? Like 1.3 million years? Something like that. So one day and one night in the Pure Land is like a million years, probably around a million years here in the human realm. So it's a long time.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Well, I think the human race, I don't know how many years has the human race been around on this planet. I don't know if it's been 1 million, 2 million, a couple of thousand. I think we read, Chinese culture is like 4,000 years, and we're very proud of it. So a couple million.
好，这个我们再讲一下这个异界的的，因为离我们最近的就是四王天，天人啊，他这些都异界的都有意念的，就是刚才金传师也讲，就是说越高，就是他意念就越轻，就是越少，所以因为我们是在异界，跟我们一样的，我们都是有意的。那这个像是天王天或者刀地天的天人呢，他们的天人呢，也一样的有结婚的，就是天上的他们有结婚，他们是有夫妇，有夫妻的，然后也有就是有生小孩子的，像四王天的天人生小孩子呢，他一生下来就是我们人间的5岁，5岁的那么大。那倒立天的孩子一生下来就是人间的7岁大，这个是根据上人的开示，我找到的这样子的一个跟大家分享。
So if we look at this, the desire realm some more, you can look at the level of heavens actually corresponds to the level of the amount of desire we have. The amount of desire, you could say lust or craving, that the amount of that we have, the more we have of desire, the lower in the realms we are. The less desire we have, the higher up we are in the system. And so, for instance, in the human realm, we have more desire than, say, in the realm of the 4 heavenly kings. And then in the heaven above that, the Tushita Heaven has even less desire. This is actually a very important point to look at within the Buddhist tradition. And I think we can observe it actually within our human realm itself. Although we kind of have these movies that we watch in the popular media where the heroes and all these things, a lot of fighting, a lot of these desires, and then they seem to have very exciting lives and a lot of desire all over the place. But I think if you really were to look at your life and the people around you, the people who seem to have a more constant sense of well-being for their entire lives probably have less desire, if you watch. Although the movie theaters and all this is glamorized. Actually, it's interesting, if you look at actually the movie actors' lives, I guess, I don't know, I can't generalize, but it seems to me that there are definitely cases where it seems that they actually live lives that have got a lot of suffering. I remember I don't know if people remember, sure, but I think a lecture ago mentioned Wizard of Oz. And so then he had, Jing Weisher said he never watched it, so then we watched it in the monastery. Dharma Master had it. And so there's the main actress, I think it was Judy Garland, right? Young girl. And then I think Dharma looked up her Wikipedia article, and wow, she lived a life of a lot of suffering. Young girl, but she went through many marriages and fought, drugs and all these things. And so it's, the excitement of what society puts in front of us on the big screen, or on advertisements and things, oftentimes doesn't really correspond with if we really use wisdom to look at experience. And so within the Buddhist tradition, the wisdom actually says there's the less desire we have, the more peacefulness, well-being, and happiness we have to find within ourselves already. The desire distracts us from that sense of well-being that we originally have. And so the heavens, you go up, there's less and less desire as it goes up. It's an important point because in some sense you look at the monastery, and Usually people don't run to the monastery because, they're distracted by lots of stuff outside, and everyone here is coming to listen to the Dharma. Because I think you probably have an appreciation for the peacefulness, the wisdom, the opportunities to look inside that this place offers you. That if we're, running around in the middle of a loud party, we probably don't have as much of an opportunity to do that. Okay. Oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't translate the interesting facts that Jin-Fo discovered. He said, so then the heaven realms, the husband and wife, they're still married, they still get married, and then they have like a husband and wife, and they have a child. So in the heaven of the 4 celestial kings, when the children are born, they're equivalent to children in the human realm when they're 5 years old. And then you go up another realm, the Cherishing heaven, the kids are born they're like a 7-year-old.
对，还有夜摩天有10岁大。
The Ye-Mo-Tian, the Suyama heaven, is 10 years old. And you keep going up?
没有，他讲到这里，还有上年呢，他讲这个小孩子生出来的时候，因为有形体啊，可以看得到，因为我们是看不到，你要有天眼可以看得到。那这个小孩子生出来了，他坐在天人的膝盖上，他是生出来的时候就坐在这个天人的膝盖上，那他就天人就给他吃一种自然的天露，这个叫是天的甘露水，这个是一种自然化现出来的。
So Master Hua goes on to explain it even more, saying that when these little children, these celestial children, you could say, these children of the heavens, are born. If you have the celestial eye, you can see it. And so he says they're born and they're actually on their parents' kneecap, on their knees, and then this magically a heavenly dew, a heavenly sweet dew appears, and that's what they drink, that's what they eat.
还有那个这个这些给小孩子吃完了以后，没有多久就变得跟天人一样的大了，就是吃完以后，然后这个也就是像四王天的天人呢，他身高有半里高，他寿命有500岁那么长。
半里是多少？
半里高应该是一样吧，他这个。
A mile. I think Chinese mile is not English. It's a.
一样，他这个讲。
Maybe it's 6 miles. 6 miles. Okay, so, and then as they drink this sweet dew and they finish drinking it, they actually become as big as a deva in that realm. And so in the heaven of the 4 celestial kings, they have a lifespan of 500 years. They live 500 years, and their height is ban li. Do people know Chinese li? Is that 6 miles? A li 6 miles or 12 miles? People know? Anybody? Well, very tall. So they're like maybe either they're something like a couple miles high, tall. I'm talking about height. We're like 10 feet. Is it really tall already? For me, maybe 6 or 7, 5 or 6 feet, right? They're like a mile, 5,000 feet tall. If I got my numbers right.
好，好，我们再继续讲这个斗率天。斗率天呢，它有分内院跟外院。内院的话，就是一生补处菩萨的所住的地方。那这个外院就是一般的异界天的天人。这些天众就是说他有很多的福，但是他的慧很少，就是慧少福多的天众在那里。
So then you can just get a sense of what the heavens are like, right? You have these really huge, we call them devas or gods, right? We have here you can't really see it now because of the darkness of the outside, but there's this kind of stained glass window of some of the devas. And so they're in the heavens. They have extremely long lifespans. They're extremely big. They have a lot of happiness. Their lives are very blissful. And in the Tushita Heaven, which is the heaven we're talking about tonight, heaven is actually separate into two areas. There's like the inner court and the outer section. I don't know what you would consider that in America. You maybe have like a city where you have like the inner section of the city, and then you have everything else that sprawls out from there. So in the center of the Tushita Heaven, in the inner court, is actually where Maitreya Bodhisattva stays. And around him, there are those who want to learn the Dharma, and they're going to become Buddhas. So, 什么菩萨？
医生补处的菩萨，
医生补处什么意思？
就是
So become Buddhas
在医
one
生
more
以
life.
后，他就要成佛了。Yeah.
So these bodhisattvas will become Buddhas in one life,
就是
in their
像
next life. They're in this in the inner court. They're waiting to become Buddhas.
像现在就是弥勒佛在
So
那。
right now we have Maitreya Bodhisattva in the inner court of the Tushita Heaven, and then there's the inner section, and then the outer section, however, is, you could say, the regular gods, all the regular devas. They have many blessings, but they don't have that much wisdom. So they just go around enjoying their lives, kind of oblivious to the Dharma going on.
他还是有六道轮回的。
Yeah, they still caught in the samsara. 他们不知道里面有这个内院，对不对？还是他们知道？
他们不能去，因为他要有相当的修行才可以去。像我们那个谁，那个虚云老和尚，他就去进到里面去听法过。
Yeah. So, as that Jin-Fo, do they know that there's an inner court? He says, he didn't answer that question, but he said that they would need to have, they can't get in because they need to have quite a bit of cultivation to get into the inner court. And people know the story of Master Empty Cloud, Royal Master Xu Ying, right? He's in the altar on the back here. Master Hua's teacher, you could say. There's a time when he actually went to the Tushita Heaven's inner court and met Maitreya Bodhisattva. It's in his biography. If you read his autobiography, there's an autobiography of Master Empty Cloud. And he talks about he actually died and went to Tushita's Heaven inner court, met Maitreya Bodhisattva, and then Maitreya Bodhisattva sent him back to the human realm. He's like, I don't want to go back there. They're like beating me up and like, a lot of suffering. So no, your job's not quite done there yet. So he got sent back. I think he's like 100 and something at that time. So, yeah.
好，我们有一个，我们会想到说，为什么这个医生补处的菩萨，他要投身在斗率天，他为什么不升到别的天去？为什么？所以这个有这样子的疑问。其实这个在《涅槃经》上面有讲到，因为这个斗率天的上面就是受戒天跟无色戒天，这些天呐、就是还是比较暗顿的，就是说比较，它还是没有出三界，是比较迟钝的，因为那只有一种精神在的一个天，然后底下其他像四王天、忉利天、夜摩天呐、还有这些都是放逸的，就是说他们很快乐，所以就是很放逸，都是只有在享乐，就比较少修行。
So there's people ask, why are these bodhisattvas born into Tushita Heaven? Why not in the other heavens? And so in the Nirvana Sutra, it describes that the Tushita Heaven is the place where the bodhisattva goes to cultivate, is because if they go higher, say up into the form and the formless realms, those realms are anduans, kind of like dull.
Yeah.
They're not as clear. They're really happy. There's kind of in this kind of bliss, but that is a bliss is doesn't have a kind of clarity behind it. They don't have a kind of energy. It's just kind of like, oh, it's really blissful. You can kind of imagine you're kind of blissed out. Oh, so the mind's not really like has that much paying attention as much as maybe in the other realms. And then you go down into the other heavens, the heaven of the four celestial kings, the Triumshimsha heaven, the Suyama heaven. Well, those heavens, the gods are a little bit too casual, a little bit too cool. They just like to hang out and just enjoy their lives, you know. So they just like, they don't really think about practicing too much. They're just really happy, just playing around, enjoying their lives. So that's not the place where the Bodhisattva appears either. So they appear in the Tushita Heaven.
所以他这个而且要在内院，他内院有4种的殊胜的事情。第一个，他寿命有4000岁，然后这个你假如说身位，就是说你非常在那修行很长的，寿命的长短都可以随意，就是随意，但是不是无量寿，所以这个不是，还不是像极乐世界无量寿的。
So in the inner courtyard of the Tushita Heaven, those that are reborn there have 4 qualities. So one is that their lifespan can be 4,000 years. Or those with cultivation, they actually can, their lifespan actually can be according to their wish. So their lifespans are extendable, you could say. Right? They're not, with their practice, they can extend their life. But their lifespan doesn't extend to limitless life, like in Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land. The beings there have lifespans that are limitless.
还有他这个在那里的修行，这个慧业会非常多，就是说他的智慧非常多，然后他也可以再加上异界的就是异界的你自己的智慧，然后你还可以修念佛三昧，在那里可以修行念佛三昧，这样子你可以再升内院，再去升到内院，然后你可以去亲视弥勒菩萨，就是说你可以修行这一些，然后接近弥勒菩萨。
So 第二个，这是第二个。
第二个殊胜的地方，就是说你可以。
Okay. So I'm going to give a list. So in this, the second point is that there is wisdom, and so you're there. You can not just have the wisdom that is in the heavens, but you also can cultivate the wisdom that's associated with 欲界思慧.
对，就是说你
a wisdom that comes from being in the desire realm. So 智慧在欲界的智慧。
然后你可以修念佛三昧。
Okay, so you can say, I don't know exactly what that would refer to, is a wisdom that we have in the desire realm, and also they can cultivate the samadhi of reciting the Buddha's name, the Buddha recitation samadhi. And when they're there, they actually have the opportunity to draw near and learn from Maitreya Bodhisattva. That's where Maitreya Bodhisattva is in the inner chamber of the Tushita Heaven.
所以他这个你亲近弥勒菩萨的话，你可以闻到无上大法，断所有的烦恼。
So by learning the Dharma there, you can let go of, put an end to all of your afflictions.
还有第3个殊胜的地方，就是说那里你去到内院的时候，都是圣人聚会在一起，然后他所发的都是清净的言，然后不生那些贪染的，像外院的一些异界的贪染没有。
And so the third wonderful quality about this place, the inner courtyard and inner chamber of the Tushita Heaven, is that this is a place where the sages get together. Everyone there they're sages, they're awakened beings. They're people of practice. And they have very, we say, pure affinities. You can say they're very good friendships that aren't sticky. We use the word sticky sometimes when we're friends with somebody, but that friendship is based on a kind of dependency on the other person, or that person has a kind of, you give me this, I give you that, and we kind of, make each other identities feel better about ourselves, and that's our friendship. But that friendship is not really, quote unquote, pure, is because it's how you would describe it. It has a certain amount of attachment and self and clinging in it. And what happens if you think about it from the Buddhist perspective is that ultimately relationships are impermanent. And so that clinging we have to the other person, that's part of we identify with, at some point when that person goes, we have to face the suffering and pain that comes from that. It's not to say that we don't have friendship, but that we can actually purify that friendship by having that friendship not based on selfish or kind of attachment identification, but rather from, let's say, a wish for the other person's well-being, a wish for them to accomplish the spiritual path, to realize their highest potential, a wish to just be kind for them and rejoicing in their goodness and their accomplishments. So there's many ways to relate to somebody else that doesn't come from a kind of a place of attachment and clinging, but rather from a place of joy and giving and happiness. From a place of, I say happiness, a place of equanimity and care. And so that's a kind of a different kind of relationship. So their relationships in this heaven is all based on this kind of pure relationship where everyone's wishing for the other person's well-being. There's no greed and no lust, we say tanran is like, it's described that desire and lust, I think in Pali it's called raga. It's actually like a dye. It colors our vision. I think you have a sense of that when you're really greedy for something, either for a person or for an object, a material object, right? Somehow you start seeing all your experience through that desire. I mean, I think a very interesting story. I remember when I was a novice in the monastery, training to become a monk. In my life, I've never really paid attention much to shoes, and all of a sudden, I would be circumambulating the hall, and my mind would just like start looking at shoes, like one after the other. I'm like, wow, look at those shoes. I'm like, what am I doing? My brain, my mind is paying attention to shoes, and I'm just reciting in the hall, and this makes absolutely no sense. Like, why am I paying attention to people's shoes and like trying to compare them and thinking what shoes I would like that one. It's like, what's my mind doing? This makes absolutely no sense. And on reflection, it's because all of a sudden, my desires that I could usually go for, maybe we can go and buy something, or we can go and get whatever food we want. All these desires are getting kind of basically getting focused down into just a life of a monastic, and even the robes that we wear are the same robe. You don't even have like other clothing. So pretty much the only distinguishing factor in the monastery was the shoes that you're wearing. These are the monastery that we're in. And so that's why I see my mind was like just went there as the place of focus because of, just desire, not having a place to have an outlet. And as I was saying, that actually colored my vision of what's actually going on, rather than reciting the Buddha's name and just kind of focusing my mind, or just even seeing people as people. I was actually just seeing shoes. So it's kind of funny, but sad to say, I think that's actually oftentimes our experience in the world, is that when desire covers our vision, we don't see things very clearly anymore. We only see what our desire is showing us. So yeah, so in this realm, there's no greed and desire in that way. They're free of that.
所以其实它是少欲诸主天，就是这个 斗率天是可以讲少欲速主天。因为你这样子的话，你的智慧就渐渐增加。所以有很多的唐朝的时候，有很多人他就发愿去升到那里去，因为以后在那里可以修成一生不处，在那里等成佛这样子。像玄奘大师就是之一。
So in this heaven is considered having very little desire, and people are very content, right? I mean, that's the flip of it. If you think of desire, is that rather than having a lot of desire, you have contentment. Reverend Hongshar has a really good mantra that he created. I think it's like an antidote for our modern situation, which has a lot of greed. It goes, I have enough, I am grateful, share the blessings, then it's hallelujah. And then it goes, may all be fed, may all things flourish, may all awaken, bodhisvaha. And svaha is usually how we end our mantras. And just that first line, at least, to me always is very striking, is the mind that says, I have enough. Because usually we don't think that, right? Usually, I don't have enough. I need to get something more. I need to buy something else to help me feel more complete, or I need to look better. I need to be more fit. I need to be smarter. I need to be da 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 da. You can make the whole list of all the things that we think we don't have enough of, and you can see how miserable that makes us. But we just in our hearts think, I have enough. You know, I'm perfectly fine. In terms of who I am, what I'm doing, I have enough. I don't need to go and grab more things. I can cultivate myself to become, a better person. But it's not coming from this craving and thirst and trying to, seeking mind that is really unstable. Is a kind of an unstable place. But from a place of fullness and contentment, and the cultivation then is just a process of allowing that fullness to become fuller and fuller. And so that's, I think, a really important principle. And then Jin-Fo said, this heaven was a popular place to go during the Tang Dynasty in China, that many of the cultivators during that time made vows to go to Maitreya Bodhisattva's, that inner courtyard of the Tushita Heaven, so that they can wait for their time to become a Buddha. They kind of take turns, right there in that inner courtyard. And so one Dharma master who did that was Dharma Master Xuanzang. People know Dharma Master Xuanzang? He's the one who went to India for the sutras. People know Monkey King, right? Sun Wukong. Yeah, he was the monk. And then they were his Dharma protectors, and he traveled to India to get the sutras and brought them back to China. Very, very famous. It was during that time, the Tang Dynasty. And so he made vows to go to Maitreya's inner chamber, inner courtyard. I think actually Master Empty Cloud, we just mentioned before, when he actually got beaten to death. And so when he died, he went to Tushita Heaven. And he saw Venerable Ananda, I believe. I think he also saw Venerable Xuan. 他看到玄奘法师吗？有没有讲他玄奘？
他有看到
he saw some different Dharma masters there. I think he might have seen Venerable Xuanzang there too. I remember particularly Venerable Ananda.
Yeah.
He said he saw Venerable Ananda there. Yeah. 他说你要修行多少可以去多少天？
他请多少？那你跟他看像那个我们西引老和尚，他是什么菩萨来的嘛？是好像八地，对，你要知道至少八地以上。
至少八地啊。
对，我想说用西引老和尚的例子就可以知道，你要修行到那种程度才可以去。
Jin-Fo says, well, I guess we can look at Venerable Master Empty Cloud, and it said that he was an 8th ground bodhisattva, so maybe if we can become 8th ground bodhisattva, we can get to the Tushita Heaven. Actually, just so happened, Reverend Hong Shi is lecturing on the 10 grounds. So I think we just finished the 8th ground. So you can get a sense from what we just read that would be the the spiritual skills and awakening of Master Empty Cloud.
不，那个是去内院呐、外院就可能就不用了。内院，因为你要进去内院不容易。
So yeah, so that's to get into the inner chamber of Tushita Heaven. If you're just getting to the outside courtyard, then that doesn't really require that level of cultivation, because you're just kind of enjoying your life outside.
好，我们后面再讲，因为唐朝人很多人有发愿去那里，然后有像慧基大师，他也跟西方净土跟弥勒天宫来做比较，然后也有其他的法师来做比较。我们现在有7种的比较的来讲出来一下。这个像西方他胜过斗率天。第一个，他身相，他所成佛以后的这个身，他的整个的身体的这个相，他是比斗率天胜过的。
Actually, to answer Connie's question about being reborn in the Maitreya Bodhisattvas, that inner courtyard, so Jin-Fo said that actually many of the people in the Tang Dynasty made vows to go there. So if you actually want to go there, it starts with actually a vow. And then we practice. But if we have that intention, then as that intention, we cultivate and we have that aspiration, bit by bit we walk in that direction. So it comes down to you if you want to go there. If you want to go to the Maitreya's inner courtyard, you make that vow, I want to be born in Maitreya Bodhisattva's inner courtyard. And you can make that really a strong thought in your mind. Or you can say, I want to go to Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land. It's the same principle. Question?
Is it like what most of the signs are going to say like Amitabha's Pure Land? Yeah, like what's the pluses and minuses? Is it kind of like
What's
the
the
same
pluses and
between going to
minuses?
Amitabha's Pure Land or
so-
Maitreya's?
Yeah, this is exactly what Jin-Fo started talking about next. So the great masters in China actually made a comparison between the Pure Land of Amitabha Buddha and Maitreya Bodhisattva's inner chamber, inner courtyard. So now we can go through that. So the first thing is they describe that the body, so you can say the physical appearance.
像阿弥陀佛生经说嘛，哈。
Yeah, the Pure Land in Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land, the beings there actually have the golden body of a Buddha.
相好光明无等的。
Yeah, their bodies is full and radiant. While in Maitreya Bodhisattva's inner chamber, 他们的身体就是怎么样？就是像个僧人一样，天人一样。
也金色的。
我是说在弥勒菩萨那边呢？
弥勒菩萨的天人。
天人的身体对不对？
对，他更好了，因为内院里面当然是比一般天人要殊胜多。
So or you say in Maitreya Bodhisattva's inner courtyard, their bodies are not quite as radiant. They're you can say maybe the bodies are more radiant than the gods and the devas because they have some cultivation, but it's not as magnificent as that of those in the Pure Land. So that's the first one, the body.
还有第二个就是徒众更比那个殊胜，西方更殊胜，因为他就所有的那些众。就是去那里往生的那些人，他都可以得到阿弥陀佛的那些去的人比斗率天的人还要多就对了。
还要多。徒众就是 assembly。
不是
空有啊，
不是徒，就是他的徒弟嘛，就是那些
弥勒菩萨的
修行人。
徒弟。
不是西方极乐世界的人啊，比他还要多啦。
多 more
多啦。
Oh, okay. So I guess if you go to Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land, there's more people there. I guess you have more people to meet. So and Tushita Heaven courtyard is a much smaller place, not as many people. So there's a greater number of people.
还有第三个寿命，比那个要多，就是说他 寿命比那个都要一个无量，一个他还是有六道轮回的。
So the lifespan of those in Amitabha Buddhist Pure Land is actually much longer. It's limitless, while those in the inner courtyard, although they have really long lives, it's still limited, and they still have to, pass away.
还有第4个就是他神通比那个更殊胜，西方极乐世界的神通，你要什么东西，马上就可以变现，他的神通比那个要更殊胜，跟那个斗率天更殊胜。
So the spiritual powers of those in the Pure Land is much more wonderful. So in the Pure Land, anything you want just kind of appears. And so your spiritual abilities are much greater than that of those in the Tushita Heaven.
还有第5个果报，他所得到的果报更殊胜，因为他是得到以后成佛，在那里成佛，他的果报很殊胜。
So you could say the karma, the results of being there is much more wonderful, because you're in the Pure Land, you actually become a Buddha, and so that's much more wonderful. 但你在斗率天也是成佛啊，对不对？
对，他现在这样子，你在斗率内院，他是一生补处，现在只有一个弥勒菩萨在那里。只有一个弥勒菩萨在那里。
另外就是从他学习，
其他的都是在学习。
他不是一生补处
在那里等嘛，在那里等。所以你像一生补处的众多，在阿弥陀经里面有很多的一生补处在那里等着要成佛。所以这个是果报殊胜的地方，比那个更好。
So if you go to the Pure Land, you're going to become a Buddha. I think in the Tushita Heaven inner courtyard, the beings there are also, destined for Buddhahood, but they kind of have to wait. Right now, Maitreya Bodhisattva is the next one in line to become the Buddha, and then they're waiting because there's a process. We'll see. We haven't really touched much of the sutra text. We'll see. The bodhisattvas actually come from Tushita Heaven, enter the mother's womb in our world, and then actually manifest as Buddhas in our world through a process. So their birth right before entering our world is actually in Tushita Heaven.
还有第6个国土，它的国土非常像弥极乐世界，它的国土七宝池什么东西的那些莲花大如寿的那个，就是国土非常殊胜的。
So the next one is the actual land itself. So in the Pure Land is really, really wonderful. It talks about the land, the ground being like gold, and lotus flowers like carriage wheels, and all the various treasures that fill the land. Right, we read it in the Amitabha Sutra at night. So this land is very, very, we use the word adorned, stunning, magnificent. So it's much more magnificent than that of the Tushita Heaven. Although the Tushita Heaven is still it's much nicer than our world, especially now with global warming and climate change. Now it's got fires burning all over the place. Our world is pretty sad.
还有第7个就是说，你受肉比那个斗率天要殊胜。他受肉就是人，你所受到的
happiness.
The 快乐 happiness, yeah.
So the happiness that one receives in the Pure Land is also much greater, much more wonderful than that of the Tushita Heaven.
好，我们大概就是我们只有讲了一句这个出斗数天，那后面我们再讲另外一句，就是弘先正法，这个是经文上的弘先正法，这个就是菩萨他先在那里先说，因为菩萨去到斗率天里面，他不是去在那里享受了，去那里玩了，他是去那里先说正法，在那里讲大法，因为他在那里也是除了修行 另外，他就很多人会去那里听法。
So the next line in the sutra says that the Bodhisattva is in Tushita Heaven teaching the right Dharma. So this Bodhisattva doesn't go to Tushita Heaven just to enjoy his life. He's going there to teach the Dharma. And so that's actually really important. Right? We're going to the heavens not for personal enjoyment, but for the Dharma. And many people draw near to learn the Dharma.
像我们也稍微讲一个正法，正法依照这个大集业藏经的讲，它这个佛教它分为三期嘛，一个是正法，再来相法，再来末法。因为那每一个法的它都有不同的代表，像正法的时候，它是持戒坚固；相法的时候是禅定坚固；末法的时候就念佛坚固。像我们现在末法就是要多念佛。
你说正法就是戒，持戒，
持戒。
然后
那时候
定是相法，
相法是禅定，就是
那我又不会禅定应该是正法吗？不是。听众以为是禅定是正法，不是。
我们是
讲
坚固了，
坚固。
它
OK，
坚固的。
Okay, so what's the right Dharma? What's the proper Dharma? There's one way that it's often explained in one sutra. One way it's explained in a sutra that describes that in the Dharma we have 3 ages. If people are familiar with this, there's different ages in the Dharma. So the first age is that called the proper Dharma age, when the Dharma is really alive and the Buddha is teaching the Dharma, and soon after he leaves, the Dharma is still very much in people's lives. They're using it, they're cultivating it. That's called the proper Dharma age. That moves into the next age, it's called the Dharma image age, or they sometimes call it the semblance Dharma age, when the Dharma becomes very much about appearances. Making nice images, making beautiful monuments, building stupas, bowing. A lot of people are worshipping the Buddha stupas, Buddha images. And the focus becomes less on inner transformation and cultivation and more on this veneration of external objects of worship. Right, so that's the shangfa, the Dharma image age, the semblance Dharma age. And the third age is the Dharma ending age, meaning the age when the Dharma is on decline. It's kind of slowly disappearing. And actually that's described the age where we're currently in. And they usually say, what is the Dharma ending age people really good at? We're really good at fighting with each other. And I think if you look around, it's probably not pretty true. We're pretty good at fighting with one another. And so that's the characteristics of the 3 different ages. And Jin-Fo then described that one of the explanations is that during the proper Dharma age, people held the precepts very, very firmly. The kind of the virtuous conduct, the kind of ground for cultivation, that was very, very solid. Then in the Dharma image age, people had pretty good samadhi, pretty good concentration, focus, steadiness of mind. And then in the, which I think then would mean that they probably are a little bit less strong in the precepts, right? They've lost kind of the precepts. And then in the Dharma ending age, people are better at reciting the Buddha's name. Or not say better, but they have a focus on reciting the Buddha's name. But I think it's probably because we've lost both the precepts and samadhi, so we're just really, really scattered and doing a lot of behavior that's not so skillful. And so what we're trying to do is reciting the Buddha's name just to maintain some level of concentration and goodness in our hearts.
好，还有我们再讲一下这个正法在释迦牟尼佛那时候，其实正法有1000年，但是因为他就是给比丘尼受戒，所以就变成说他的正法就剩下减掉500年。然后 在那里后来就是相法有1000年，然后在依照经典上的末法有10000年，所以10000年以后就佛法就慢慢就灭尽的。
So it's described that these different Dharma and Dharma ages have different time periods. So one way of explanation is that the Dharma image age, the proper Dharma age, is 1,000 years, but that got actually cut in half, maybe 500 years, because of the. I think 那个比丘尼他们是不是我是这样子说吗？500年是因为他们被减一半，我以为他们是说如果你守八敬法就还是更长。
有这样子，就你要守八也是只有500年，所以
我以为是变成更长，有吗？没有变更长，或者没有一半。Well, I was just wondering, Jin-Fo was saying that because the inclusion of the Bhikshuni Sangha in the Dharma, that the actual proper Dharma age went down by 1/2. I think if you actually look at the text, it says something about the way that the Bhikshuni Sangha's attitude or practice would be in terms of how it involves the Dharma, the length of the Dharma. The second period is the Dharma image age, which is also another 1,000 years. And then the final period is the Dharma ending age, and that's 10,000 years. And after that period, then the Dharma disappears, and then we don't have the Dharma around.
所以其实在中国宋朝以后啊，它就是开始进入末法时代。所谓末法时代，就是说佛法的经典，然后会被一般的人把它扭曲误解，他用别的来解释，然后最不好的就是破坏戒律，就是说像那时候就很少人守戒，就是破坏戒律，所以那些谋道的人就会非常旺盛，就是这个末法时代。
So in the Song Dynasty, if you were to go back, Song Dynasty 是什么时候？哪年？ What's the Song Dynasty? Do people know Chinese history?
明朝以前。
I don't.
唐以后嘛。
唐以后。唐
朝以后。
What that would be what? 800? 800? 900. 900 to 1200. So that's kind of when the Dharma ending age started. And what characterizes the Dharma ending age is that the sutras begin to be misrepresented, and the people no longer really hold the precepts very well. And so that opens the door for a lot of, you could say, negative energies to enter. The Dharma kind of becomes used for inappropriate things, and kind of this becomes a kind of a Dharma ending period.
所以关于这个正法的事情啊，仙公上人也特别讲到，因为他仙公上人他把佛法带来西方，所以算佛法一个开始，所以也算一个正法，所以他希望我们的佛弟子都能够认真修行。那你认真修行就是正法，那你不修行就是末法。
So Master Hua had a way of explaining it, that here he's coming, bringing the Dharma to the West. And he wants to bring the proper Dharma to the West. It's a new beginning. And so that if we in our hearts, in our lives, really practice, really apply effort, then for us it's the Dharma proper age, the age of the proper Dharma. If we don't practice and we're just lazy and just kind of just follow our desires, then for us it'd be the Dharma ending age, the age when the Dharma is in decline. So it's really up to us on how we practice, and that determines what age we're in.
好，我想因为时间也差不多，我们今天讲的就是都是讲要菩萨他入胎以前的事情，这些事情他要做的。那我们下一次我们就会讲 开始下来人生，下来下母胎以后的事情，这个也是更值得我们来探讨，非常重要的就是佛陀他成道的10相也好，8相成道也好，这个我们下一次来探讨。那我们今天的讲法我们就讲到这里。
So here tonight we spoke about the Buddha's life actually before he was born. So when you think about Buddha's biography, you think about the person's like when they were born on this day, and then they did this and did that, and then they passed away at this day. Well, we have been talking about the Buddha before he was born, what he was doing before he was born. And these are usually considered the signs. There's like 8 signs, or sometimes there's 10 signs of the Buddha awakening. And so tonight we talked about the signs when the Buddha was before he even entered his mother's womb. And so the next lecture we will actually go over the Buddha's actual birth and him, being a human being. So that will be really interesting and very important, but we won't have time tonight to go over those. We have a question online.
Okay, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So does reciting Amitabha thing have any present life benefit, like reciting Mansion Buddhas or One Buddha or such thing? Or is it just more for
Rebirth. 有人问说，你现在念佛对你生活有没有什么帮助，还是只是为了你来生可以升极乐世界？
是这样子念佛
来近一点。
念佛的好处是非常多。你今生当然你平常念佛，你就至少你把你的心念去心念挂在阿弥陀佛身上。刚才讲了我们一开始就讲仙公上人讲，你念佛，你的心就是佛，那你就是佛。所以这个佛是清净的，至少你虽然你还是在家人要做什么其他的家事，但是你至少你都是可以得到清净的，这个是很重要。我们能够清净的话，我们就很清楚，能够我们要做什么都非常能够了解，而且做的有非常可以更清楚我们要做的事情。这个是现身是最好。当然我们的现世，然后你常常有这样子的信念，那你准备念佛以后，你能够因为阿弥陀佛他有发愿，你只要念他佛号，他就来接引你去。这个是最重要的。我们今生所做的就是我们要准备来生的事情。这个能够去到那里成佛是非常殊胜，最好的不过的。
So reciting the Buddha's name has many, many good points, many benefits. As I mentioned in the very beginning, if one recites the Buddha's name, that's actually what Master Hua said, it's just like that moment your heart is the Buddha. And the Buddha is pure. The Buddha is clear. And so right now, perhaps you're a lay person, but you can go through your day cultivating by reciting the Buddha's name, and you can keep your heart pure. And by having your heart pure, then you can be clear about what's going on. And you can understand things better and do things more with wisdom. So this is actually one really good benefit for this life. Of course, we want to recite the Buddha's name also to be able to be reborn in Amitabha Buddha's pure land. So that when we are about to die, Amitabha Buddha comes to receive us, and so that we can go to his pure land. And so this is, you could say, one of the most, is it the most important thing of our life, is to be able to prepare for ourselves to be able to go to Amitabha Buddha's pure land. If we can do that, there's nothing better than that. You can say it doesn't get better than that. Maybe to add a thought, reciting the Buddha's name, I gave the example about looking at shoes, a moment ago. If you recite the Buddha's name all the time, Namo Amitofo, Namo Amitofo, Namo Amitofo, 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 Amitofo. That's what you're doing with your mind all the time. Then that you could say a little bit becomes the way you interact with the world. You start seeing kind of your day-to-day, moment-to-moment experience through the lens, through the eyes, through the spirit of the Amitabha Buddha recitation. So the people you meet, Amitofo, Amitofo, Amitofo. If you're not just reciting in your mind and like words, you're actually kind of, it's a full-bodied experience, embodied experience of reciting. And so you start saying, oh wow, all these people are potential teachers for me. Even people I don't like, they're just teaching me how to become a better person. Amitofo, Amitofo, Amitofo. I can learn from them. Amitofo, Amitofo, Amitofo. So they become like great teachers, the environments that we're in, Amitofo, Amitofo. Oh, I see all these things, but because my heart is peaceful and I'm content and I don't have things I'm running after, I'm just reciting the Buddha's name. The things that are around me actually are just like precious jewels because I don't crave anything. I'm content with whatever I have. So life becomes, you could say, very peaceful, and they describe it in the Chan school. Then when you really recite, you're right then Amitabha Buddha, and right then you're in the Pure Land. You don't have to wait. And so if we can really be sincere in our recitation, we can actually purify our hearts, purify our minds, and go to the Pure Land right now in this life. And even better is, if we aren't able to get to that level of samadhi, we can go to the Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land after we die. So it's like a win-win. You have a question? 有个问题。
到了 Buddha Ending Age 是在宋朝发生的嘛？就同一时间有很多因素，包括政治上面元朝的入侵，包括儒家的转变。然后我想知道同一个时间，在所有的法学世界，包括印度，是不是也同样受到了冲击？就是人来影响了就佛学，还是佛学来影响了大家，影响人？
你是说在那个时段，其他的国家
对对
也是会影响吗？
对，
是不是这样子呢？
是，还是只是中国
对
独有？
当然了，就是这样子就是看很多，它是这样子排下来的。这个是一个佛教上面的一个排下来的。那这个趋向是有，但是像仙公上人讲的，只要你修行就可以转，你不修行就是在那个阶段这样子。所以还是看你修。我们也不能说那时候都没有坏人啊，怎么样子，一样的还是有坏人，一样的情况。所以他是这样子的一个讲正法多少然后相法多少年，他这个是他讲出来的。做还是很重要，看当时的情况，人怎么样子做，国家怎么做，这个都有关系的。
Can you ask your question in English?
What's that?
Can you ask your question in English?
Because when you said the Buddha Ending Age happens in Song Dynasty, and there are a lot of factors influence that in that situation because the politics, the culture changed a lot in that dynasty. So that the Buddha Ending Age happens all like worldwide, also in India, or it is unique in China. So my question is like the Buddha influence people or the people influence the Buddha itself?
Okay. So Jin-Fo's response was that I'm not sure, I don't think he responded about being in other countries, but that like what Master Hua said, in this life, if we cultivate, then we're in the proper Dharma age. If we don't cultivate, then we're in the Dharma ending age. And if you look at in those times, it's not to say that there's no bad people in Tang Dynasty or before, and that there's only good people. It's all kind of a mixture. So it's not like maybe a hard definition. As for worldwide, I think it'd be interesting. You can do a study and see what was the you could say, the virtuous conduct around the world during those periods of time. Maybe I could answer in terms of my own reflections on that. I don't know if we want to take the Buddhist teachings around the different ages too literally, in the sense of like a historical study of something, because we often talk about the Dharma as 无有定法. There's no fixed Dharma, and so what Jin-Fo just explained about the Dharma ending age can be happening right now for us, or it could be the proper Dharma age for us right now, is a really good principle, meaning that what it matters is our actual cultivation and our own mindset. So rather than getting caught up in kind of trying to do a historical study and say, okay, really exactly, was it this year, 500 or 1500 years later, on this day, began the Dharma ending age? Okay, so then I just calculate another 10,000, right? It's not so fixed. I actually remember in the Avatamsaka Sutra, it talked about them at one time being in a Dharma ending age, and then somebody in that time actually made the Bodhi resolve and turned the entire age back to the proper Dharma age. So it's not so fixed. It's not like a fixed quantity, like this is going to happen this way. It's alive, and how we cultivate has a tremendous influence on what's going on. And you ask, is it the Buddha? When you say the Buddha influences people, you mean does the Buddha's teachings influence people? What do you mean by the Buddha influence people, or people influence Buddha?
I mean the certain age, like the certain year.
Certain year?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think what you'll see is that the Buddha, it's not like there's predestination, meaning like things are fixed, but the Buddha, Reverend Hong Sure in the previous lecture talked about one of the Buddha's powers, being able to see where all paths lead, right? The Buddha has one of his powers, able to see cause and effect very deeply. So he can look at living beings' potential and what we're doing and see the consequences of that. So he says, oh, living beings, because we do these actions, the proper Dharma age will last for 500 years. He said, well, and then living beings have these potentials, so they last another 1,000 years, then 10,000 years. It's because he sees the habits and patterns of living beings. He's not controlling living beings' behavior and causing them to be a certain way based on some fixed pattern, a fixed thing. However, the Dharma can influence living beings for the better. And so his teachings can actually transform and help living beings out of their habits. And we're not trapped into our little boxes. So if we really want to cultivate, then although we might be, as Jin-Fo was just talking about, in the Dharma ending age, we can actually be in the proper Dharma age. Or we can be in the proper Dharma age and actually be in the Dharma ending age because we don't really recognize the Dharma. So it's kind of up to us on what we're actually end up. Okay. Another question. Okay.
When we recite the Buddha's name, to what degree which it corresponds to the 9 levels?
The 9 levels of the lotus?
Yeah.
Wow. You're asked, so the question you restated is, like, how do you know the quality of your recitation and which lotus flower which grade of lotus flower you'll be awakened into, you'll be reborn into? Is that the question? 他说你怎么念佛可以到哪一个莲花的层次？
好，这个我想我们可以，因为我们今天晚上，其实这个是有可以查出来你念到什么程度，它有9品莲花，9品莲花，上中下，然后过3品有这个，它这个有可以查出来。也可以那个的个人修行，我想我们以后可以后面会讲到，我们后面的经典会讲到，我想是不是今天晚上留了以后，我们可以再讨论这个9品莲花的一个修行
Okay, so we'll keep you in suspense, so you can come back sometime in the future for our lecture. So in this, it does talk about what what your practice needs to be at to be able to be reborn in what grade flower, or what grade of the lotus, either the most highest level, the superior, or middle of the superior, or middle, right? You can actually find this in the sutras. But given tonight our time is more or less up, we won't answer the question tonight. The sutra itself will talk about the 9 grades as well. So you can be patient, or you can go investigate yourself, or what I would recommend, you just recite the Buddha's name very sincerely, and wherever you end up, if you just end up in the Pure Land, it's pretty good. So just sincerely recite the Buddha's name. Okay. I don't know if there's anything else.
我
Hey,
们
Emma?
明天我们讲，明天有这边
念佛.
念佛。
Yeah, we have
念佛
reciting the Buddha's name for one day tomorrow here. So if you would
Yeah.
like to join in, starts at 7:30, goes to 4:30 at night. So you're welcome to join. And actually, the following Sunday as well, we have another day of reciting the Buddha's name.
No, 不是。
No?
Yes， 是那个地藏法会那个
Oh,
圣
地藏
城。
法会了。Oh, 没有。Oh no, we don't have a Buddha recitation. Canceled. Okay.
Yeah， 然后在下面16号才是我们一天念佛。
This September 16th is when we have the one-day Buddha recitation, because there's a day of Earth Store session starting
in
at the
CDTV.
10,000 Buddhas.
Yeah.
So you recite Earth Store Bodhisattva's name, which is another Bodhisattva's name. So lots of good Dharma activities you can participate in. The other thing is our sutras, the 6 Patriarch Sutra lectures will be beginning again by Dr. Verhoeven on Friday nights. So people who long to attend, you can come. Starts at 7:30, goes to about 9:15. I believe a lot of our other DRBU extension classes are starting up here as well. The university semester is already underway at the 7,000 Buddhas. Any other announcements? We have a storytelling class with Brian Conroy. If people are interested in learning storytelling and connecting to our family roots, we'll be doing that starting September 22nd, 29th. I think we skip a week, and then I think October 10th and then 17th. They're all on Saturdays, 3:30 to 5. So if you want to participate in that, you can please sign up. You can find the sign-up form on the Berkeley Monastery website. Let's see what else. I think that's it. We have the library exhibit, if people are interested. I think that will be also starting early October. So we have, for the Master Hua's centennial, we'll have a library exhibit of his pictures, his life, and on I think October
6th.
October 6th?
Yeah,
October
Saturday.
6th is gonna
Yeah,
be
Saturday.
It's going to be the main celebration day. So if you have time, you're welcome to join. October 6th is when we're having the Master Hua's centennial exhibit and a kind of celebration at the San Francisco Library. Okay. So there's nothing else? I forget anything else? No?
没有的话，我们就
回向。
回向。
Okay, so we're going to do the dedication of merit. So to dedicate the merit of coming to listen to the sutra lecture tonight, practicing patience, listening to Jin-Fo and myself, and you can send it to wherever your heart wishes. The verse is on the back of your sheet. It says dedication of merit on the back.
Okay.
May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace, with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Y'all please stand and bow to the Buddhas.